Hello and welcome to Stressless Radio. I am so glad to be here today, and I am joined with a very special guest. She's not only an amazing life coach, but she's someone I'm actually partnering on with a future upcoming project that we'll tell you about a little bit later. But first, let me introduce her. Today we are talking to Carrie Ann Baron, and she is a wellness and recovery coach and founder of Solvo Coaching. In her life, she learned how to bridge the gap from debilitating disease and anxiety disorders to becoming a triathlete. Now, through her support groups, workshops, book study programs, and life coaching, she helps her clients recover from anxiety and emotional paralysis by developing strategies for living a happy and healthy life. So welcome to the show, Carrie Ann. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm really excited.
I am too. I can't wait for my listeners to find out about you, what you do, and then of course, what we've got coming up for them later. But first, let's talk all about your business because it has been growing and it is amazing. So first of all, you're the founder of Solvo Coaching. What does Solvo mean? Can you explain that a little?
I can. In Solvo in Latin means to loosen, release, unbind, free, open, or set sail. So it's really about helping people value themselves enough that loosen that bind that anxiety and fear have on them and really allow them to set sail and open up their spirit so that they can move forward in life. That's really where Solvo comes from.
So moving forward in life seems to be a huge theme for you because I know you well, and your bio also sort of mentions that you had some pretty major health issues as well as some anxiety disorders. So can you tell us a little about that and how it led you to where you are now and the career you have right now?
Wow. Yeah. I'll make the long story fairly short here. Mm-hmm. But in a nutshell, I started getting shakes in my mid-teens, and everyone was telling me it was stress, but they didn't really tell me how to not stress out. So I thought it was just my personality, and fast forward to 25 years, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. My shakes started to come into seizures, and the whole right side of my body would start shaking. And after 8 years of being on anti-seizure medication, I was episode free. So I went off that medication, and I started to thought I was living a normal life with no drugs. And what happened was getting a delayed hypersensitivity to, I believe, either the medication or the birth control. It might have been a combination of both. And it's called erythema nodosum, and it's the swelling of the soft tissue underneath the skin. And the soft tissue sort of moves together and forms very painful nodules underneath the skin. The main way to maintain that disease, and it's chronic, is to really minimize the level of stress in my life, as well as minimize the gluten intake that I can trigger the edema and the swelling of the soft tissue underneath the skin. And it also provides somewhat of a chronic joint pain, especially in the morning. So after I get moving, it takes me about 2 or 3 hours to really feel comfortable. And I'm do a lot of stretching in the mornings now to keep my body from hurting. And so as long as I keep my anxiety levels down, which goes back to the shakes that I had, and being diagnosed with epilepsy, I went off the medication. I developed this erythema nodosum. I moved to Calgary as a risk in my life. Mm-hmm. And when I got to the doctors here and I got through some of the other issues that I was experiencing in Manitoba that had migraines and such, we were able to get to the core of the issue, and we discovered that I was actually misdiagnosed with epilepsy.
Really?
I was on anti-seizure medication for 8 years, and it turns out that it was a manifestation of my own anxiety and stress, and it manifested itself to mimic an anxiety or an epileptic seizure. So my anxiety attacks are very unnormal to most people because it will mimic that. And so when I discovered that I didn't have epilepsy and it really was an anxiety and panic disorder, a lot of anger came up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of anger came up. So
because your medication then triggered the health issue.
Exactly. Medication. Yeah. I was taking the anti-seizure medication, which was valproic acid, which is very hard on the body. And I had gained almost 100 pounds just within those 8 years. Mm-hmm. I was exactly 100 pounds heavier from when I graduated in 89 to my 10-year grad in 99 because of this condition, this anxiety and stress and epilepsy. So it's the journey and dealing with the anger and the anxiety. And then once we recognized that the stress and the shaking was actually related to anxiety and panic, that's when my doctor and I sort of sat down and said, okay, you have this shopping list of things that we need to deal with. You have high blood pressure, high sodium, migraines, your menstrual cycles aren't constant. You've got all this joint pain. You've got the edema of the ankles, everything. Like, where do I start? Mm-hmm. Like, I have no idea where to start. So we just eventually, just one by one, knocked everything off the list. Mm-hmm. I remember him saying, trying to deal with it all at once is just too much. Mm-hmm. So I had an open invite to my doctor's office until we figured out how to manage the panic and the anxiety. Mm-hmm. But we had to deal with some of the symptoms, or not the symptoms, but the results, the effects mm-hmm. of all of this that my body has been going through. So that's when I came across Fearless Living. Actually, is at about Fearless Living and the process of my recovery from being on those pills for 8 years started when I was in 2003, 2004. So I've been on this journey for 10 years already in recovering and taking care of myself and really moving beyond the hopelessness and regaining control in the direction of my own life. We're going through recovery. It's a huge process. There's 5 steps to the recovery. And for the first 8 years, when I first was diagnosed with epilepsy, that's really, I thought that was my life. There was nothing else after that.
Sure.
Right? Like,
sure.
I was the epilepsy. So a sense of hopelessness came into my life, and I was like, well, this is the best it's going to get. I'm just going to put my head down and take my pills every day and deal with the edema and deal with the brain fog and deal with the fatigue, because that's who I am. That's what I am. That's mm-hmm. my epilepsy. So then once I was able to kind of get through the whole understanding that I didn't have the epilepsy and it is an actual anxiety disorder, mm-hmm. My doctor and I started, he really just was there for me constantly and just kept referring me to the proper specialists to get the right answer.
Fabulous support, yeah.
That is so fabulous. And he even started an anxiety support group for his patients, specifically for anxiety disorders. Mm-hmm. So I was one of the very first people to be part of his support group, which was through the University of Calgary Medical Clinic. And so it was really cool to be able to be in a room of other people that are very unique and different, but we all came together for the same reason. We had the anxiety, or we had the panic, and we were just trying to move through life and be as productive and truthful to ourselves and really learn to value ourselves again. Because you don't value yourself at that point.
And you've done more than just move through life. I mean, you ended up becoming a triathlete. I mean, yeah. That's a big journey.
That's a big journey from not being able to walk 5 steps without being in pain. I actually would, at my lowest and most painful with the erythema nodosum, I would walk I would crawl to the bathroom on all fours in tears because it was just that painful.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to get from that point to the point where I wanted to get my body used to moving again, I was looking at my company board, and there was a post. It was almost a year and a half to the day that I had my hysterectomy. Mm-hmm. And as a result of all of that stuff that I had mentioned earlier, one of the consequences or results was my periods were just terrible, and I had fibroid cysts growing in my uterus as a result of everything that was going on with my body.
Sure.
So I decided to have that hysterectomy. So a year and a half later, I was going through my company board, and there was this post: women, if you're looking to build a sustainable future for yourself, come and visit us on this Saturday and we'll talk more about it. I'm going to be training for triathlons. I'll be honest, I didn't even know what a triathlon was, really.
Yeah.
I had no idea, but I knew I wanted to build a sustainable future for me.
So what is a triathlon, just in case there's someone out there who doesn't know? I didn't even think of that.
That's a good point. Triathlons, it's tri for 3 sports. So you do a swim followed by a bike ride and then a run. And there's basically 4 different distances of triathlons. So the smallest one is called a sprint, and it's a 500-meter swim followed by a 10K run, or a 40K bike, and then a 10K run. And then it goes Olympic, half Ironman, and Ironman. And I have done all 4 distances.
Wow.
So the Ironman is the full distance, and so just make sure everyone's sitting down when you hear this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lay it on us.
Yeah. So a full Ironman distance triathlon consists of a 2.4 mile swim, followed by a 112-mile bike ride, followed by a 26.2-mile marathon run. And that's the miles. So in kilometers up here in Canada, it would be a 3.4K swim followed by a 180K bike ride, which was then followed up by 42.4 kilometers run. So yeah.
Right. So that's stressing me out just thinking about it, okay?
It took me 3 years to get to that level from when I decided to start getting my body used to moving again. So, yeah. So I started that journey in October of 2009. And by August 2012, I crossed the Ironman finish line in Penticton, BC, Canada, Ironman Canada.
Congratulations again. I know it's been a while, but wow. So your coaching, your wellness recovery life coaching is not just a career for you. I mean, this is your life. This is it.
This is my life. This is the life I've been living for 15 years. Once I was given the diagnosis of epilepsy, I realize now that I fell right into phase 1 of the recovery process, that I was identifying with my identity. And it wasn't until 10 years later that I really started to detach from that identity of having epilepsy. And when I was able to do that, I actually started recovering from the anger and the sadness and all of the impact that brought with my life. And started moving forward and was willing to do whatever it took to start letting myself feel as good inside as I remember once feeling. So yeah, so it really is, it's my life. I'm not just talking about it, I live it myself every single day. I still to this day have a lot of proactive strategies set in place, and there could be as simple as making sure I get 8 hours of sleep at night, avoiding as much gluten as possible. And the one thing I have learned through all of this is to really listen to my body, listen to your body, because your body talks to you and it wants to take care of you. And if you're not honoring your body, it can't help you move forward in life. So this biggest journey that I've been on, regaining control and direction of my own life, the biggest thing is don't discount what you're feeling. Whatever you're feeling right now is completely normal for what you're going through. Even if you don't know what you're going through, listen to your body. Don't dismiss it, because it's telling you something and it's so important to listen to it and honor it. So when you do that,
this recovery process that you're talking about, and this whole idea of really honoring your feelings, listening to your body, this is what you help your clients with, correct?
Yeah.
What else do you give your clients? What else do you do?
What else do I do?
Yeah, like for instance, as we're talking to you, I mean, you had some severe issues. Does a person need to have a diagnosis to talk to you or work with you? Or can you help anyone? You know, what do you offer people?
Well, right now I have clients that have both have received an official diagnosis, or it's just someone who knows that they just have a sense of hope. They can't find their mojo anymore. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. And so really, I'll work with anyone who's willing to do the work, who's willing to practice and willing to truly feel the uncomfortableness of what they're going through to get to the other side and really help them bridge that gap. So the one thing that I learned on my journey is bridging the gap is the hardest part. You know where you are, whether you've received an official diagnosis or not. You know where you are in your life, and you know where you want to go. But how do you get there, right?
Yep.
You've read all the self-help books. You know intellectually everything needs to be for reason you can't find your mojo. And as a life coach and recovery specialist, I can help that individual move through that gap so that they can start to become their own cheerleader again, that they start to believe in themselves. So one of the very first things that I say to my clients and anyone in my support groups or my book groups is they will say, I don't believe I can do it. I'm like, that's okay. Let me believe that you can do it. Let me take on that responsibility of believing you can do it. And they'll go, really? I don't have to believe in myself? Someone will believe in it for me? That takes like so much stress and pressure off their shoulders that they can actually focus on something else. And it relieves the guilt and the shame and just the whole, I can't do this, right? And when you have someone there who's willing to support you and willing to cheer you on, and I found that it was a paid professional that would do that for me. So a life coach can really get a little more intimate into there. And I will work alongside your existing therapists or chiropractors. We can, I take the strategies that they've given you to implement into your life, and I will actually support you in making the baby steps to implementing them into your life so you can actually see a difference. So I'm doing that with two of my clients right now. They both have coming from different angles, and I believe that they're capable. And every time they thank me for believing, so that they can worry about something else, so to speak. And it's really allowing them to value their own self-worth and their own authentic nature as they're moving through the process. Because when you're bridging that gap, you're going through a tunnel. You're going to experience things that you've never experienced before. You're going to start listening to your body. And when you start listening to your body, you're going to start noticing other things that you've never noticed before. When you're going through the recovery and you're coming out of the brain fog, you start remembering things that you said and that you did. And it's almost like flashbacks. And some of that is going to be very uncomfortable. And you're going to start to realize that even though I was doing the best that I could in that moment, there's still that sense of guilt because of some of the decisions that you made or the choices that you made. And being able to have someone hold your hand or guide you through that process and just know that it's okay will definitely assist you in moving through the pain that much more effectively. I don't deal with the past. That's not what I do. It's dealing with the impact of the illness or the grief or whatever. So it's really dealing with the impact of the illness is what I can coach them through and help them bridge the gaps through that, helping them understand that there is hope and that someone else has been through it. I understand, and really what they're feeling right now is completely normal. It's completely normal. And whenever I tell them that, they're just like, really? So yeah, what you're feeling right now is completely normal. You wake up in the morning, you have a shower, and then you go back to bed for 20 minutes because that wore you out. That is normal. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't beat yourself up for it. Because right now, where you are, you got up and you had a shower. Congratulate yourself for that. Like, that's amazing. I know for myself in my own journey, I started celebrating when I could remember to put on deodorant. So that's how far down I was. So I'm not afraid to admit that, because that's what's going to support the clients in knowing that I know where they've been. I know what it's like. So yeah, so I'll help anyone who really wants to move forward and really wants to get through the pain. Anyone who's willing, and I'm totally on board with supporting, helping them follow the strategies that their medical professionals have given them.
Which brings me, we have a few minutes left, brings me to our joint venture that we're working on. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too.
So yeah, Carrie Ann and I started working together earlier this year, and we ended up finding a lot of synergy and started working on this project together that we're putting together around food intolerances. Now, for my listeners, you know out there that I also am gluten-free, have had some pretty serious health issues myself, not quite to the extent of Carrie, but
thankfully.
Yes, but some pretty significant health implications myself, and I've been through a period of recovery for the last 2 years that has involved giving up gluten. And I just know that at first it seems really overwhelming when you get a diagnosis, and especially around food, whether it's gluten, dairy, whether it's a diagnosis, or whether it's just something you want to do for your health. Either way, we are putting together an online program that's going to help coach people through their frustrations around now having this food intolerance, or their frustrations around making their change through their diet. So, I don't know, Carrie Ann, that's my little pitch. What do you have to say?
I think it's awesome. Food intolerance frustrations, they're more situational, I believe, and being able to come up with strategies to support your personal health choices is incredible. So I'm so excited to be working with JJ about this and helping you guys really understand that, one, food intolerance is more common than you understand. Like, a lot of people, especially now that getting into your 40s and being exposed to all of this stuff for so long, your body changes, and there's different strategies that can assist you and continue living the life that you did when you were 20, just with some different changes. So dealing with those frustrations is a pretty exciting time for JJ and I to share some of the stuff that we've learned to help us move through our stuff.
Yes, and with my expertise in the whole stress cycle and how stress, whether it's on the physical level, the emotional level, the mental level, food can hit you on all those levels. And then we add Carrie Ann's recovery expertise, and it's going to be a fabulous product. It's going to be great.
Just as through my journey, I just discovered my emotional eatings when I eat. So I'm an emotional eater when I'm happy. So being able to celebrate moving forward and still honor your food intolerances it's fun and challenging all at the same time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing all of that with you guys.
Yes. So we are in the final stages, so we'll be rolling that whole program out really soon. And It's going to primarily be an online program, but we're going to be offering our support as well. You will get some interaction and some great support from me and Carrie Ann, so I'm excited about that. Very excited.
Me too. It's going to be mega awesome.
It is mega awesome. Mega awesome.
Mega awesome.
So look for that coming up. But before we close today, I just wanted to thank you, Carrie Ann. I wanted to introduce my listeners to you, especially since we're working together. But again, I think you're doing such great work. This show is all about stress, and to be able to talk to someone who has such experience, not only with stress, but with actual anxiety, and to bring your expertise to the show. I just thank you very much for being here. And and if anyone is interested in getting a hold of you, working with you, seeing what you've got coming up. I know you do some long distance coaching, and you're also located. You do some in-person stuff up in there in Canada. So, how can people get a hold of you? Find out more about you, more about what you do, more about your company.
Okay. Well, my website is solvocoaching.ca. So that's SOLVO coaching.ca. And that is my business website. Email address is carrieann@solvocoaching.ca. Pretty straightforward. And send me an email and we can connect there. We've got a contact form off the websites, and feel free to look me up.
And before we go, I saw that on your homepage you have an excellent offer right there. What was that? It's 5...
Oh, yes. Learning 5 simple techniques that will instantly reduce your anxiety and fear. So we've got an opt-in form. So if you want to find out more about some of the techniques that I learned throughout my 15 years, and how you sometimes wish you knew then what you wish you know now.
Yeah.
That's what this is going to be. It's like, if I had known this back then, maybe I wouldn't have gone through it for this long. So
shorten up that 15 years, right?
Yeah. So I'm basically just going through the last 15 years and coming up with the techniques that assisted me the most effectively throughout it, and realizing, had I known that back then, I may have been able to work through the brain fog and a couple of other issues a lot quicker. So that's what these techniques are about.
Excellent. And they can be used by anyone, whether you're diagnosed with an actual anxiety disorder or not.
That's right.
All right.
Yes.
So that's solvocoaching.ca.
That's correct.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thanks again, Carrie Ann. And, we'll keep you all posted here on Stressless Radio about our upcoming project. So thanks again. I can't wait to have everyone hear from you again with that.
I'm excited. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye, Carrie Ann.
Isn't that an amazing story, to go from that much debilitation to running a triathlon? And I just want to plug her again. She is such a fabulous coach. And I know I've been there flat on my back, not quite as debilitated as she has. But no matter what type of recovery you're going through, you're probably feeling like things are hopeless, like you might be in overwhelm, whether it's a physical recovery or a mental recovery from grief, divorce, whatever it might be. She can help you with a really gentle, nurturing way to move you into rediscovering yourself, getting rid of those burdens and the weight of the world, and just awakening to what's possible in your life again. So if you want to get a hold of Carrie Ann Baron at Solvo Coaching, once again, you can find her resources at stresslessradio.com. Thank you, listeners, for joining me. I hope I have been of service to you today in helping you figure out how you can stress less and live more. Join me on this show next week for more great stress-busting tips on the Amazing Woman of Power Talk 24/7 Radio Network, powered by Raven International.